Welcome to the Tired of Talking podcast. I am your host, Carmen Rozier, and this is the podcast where we talk about all the things we are tired of talking about that we want to put an action plan to. Come to the place where you can rediscover, recreate, and redesign your life. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tired of Talking podcast. I'm your host, Carmen Rozier, and this is the podcast where we talk about all the things we are tired of talking about that we want to put an action plan to. This is episode 7, and what are we talking about today? Today, I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. As a survivor of divorce with children, I want to get into effective co-parenting with someone that you are no longer in a relationship with, and what that should look like and how that impacts. And let me tell you why this is so near and dear to my heart. Obviously, because I've been through divorce and I have children, and I know the ideal situation that I would have liked to have in my divorce that I didn't have, and also from my own experiences as a child of divorce. So let's get into it. So I'm going to talk about 7 things. There are 7 things that I want to leave with you all today that I think are very important in the rearing of our beautiful babies that we call our children. And the first thing that I want to talk about is being transparent. Being transparent with our kids when it comes to the dissolving of the relationship that created them and what that should look like. So when you're talking about, I don't know, back in the day, in the 80s, I'm old, the books that, mommy and daddy are getting a divorce, things like that. Maybe not to that degree, but children should have a realistic expectation about your relationship, minus details, depending on the age level. But even depending on their age level, details, not necessarily so much. But the first thing that you want to do is offer up a level of transparency. What that does for your children is it makes sure that they know that they are involved. They know how it may impact them and their lives, and then maybe even have a say so as to what it's going to look like when the new life comes about, when there's no longer mommy and daddy, or mom and dad, or my dukes and pops is not in the same house together. Yeah, so in my opinion, it is very important to keep the children on the same page and in the loop. The worst thing that can happen for a kid is to just see the situation falling apart right before their eyes. And then, where's dad? Where's mom? Why aren't they home? So keep the kids, in the know. And just so they don't hear things from other people, the best source is the direct source. The best source is the direct source. The second thing is huge. Speak well of the other parent. The second thing I want you to know is to speak well of the other parent. That one right there, we take that for granted. Do you know that your child is 50% of the other parent? And when you are saying anything about the other parent, whether it be right, wrong, or indifferent, good, bad, or ugly, whatever the situation is, whatever you say, it is the same as saying it about the child. And there is a sense of loyalty that children have to their other half because it is literally a part of who they are. There is no way to separate that. So if you are calling the other parent stupid, dumb, unnecessary, I don't know, I'm just throwing some things out there. I'm not saying that that's my situation, but whatever you say, they're going to internalize that as it also being them. So if you care any iota about the self-esteem of the children that you have birthed, just for that reason alone, keep the comments that are negative out of the earshot of the children. And, in an ideal situation, just don't speak it at all, because we know that our words have power. Once they leave our mouths, they do not come back. And we don't have a say so on where they stick, how they stick, or how long they stick. But if you are speaking on a consistent basis negatively about the other parent, what you're actually doing is you are causing a sense of resentment to you from your own children because you're, in essence, talking about them in their face. And to be quite honest, when you go through a divorce or relationship breakup, it didn't have anything to do with the kids. Y'all two ain't getting along. So because you all don't like each other or, decide that you don't want to be together anymore, the children, that's their other half. That's, these are parents are the first loves of a child's life. When your mom, you don't want anybody talking about mom. Dad, you don't want anybody talking about your dad. And it doesn't matter the source of it. It's not as if you have a right to say whatever it is that you say. So just keep that in mind when you are speaking of the other parent. Speak well of them. In my experience, and it was hard for me to do, guys, I was going through some very difficult interactions with my ex-husband. And it made it very difficult for me to keep a lot of my emotions under wraps when it comes to words, because I can verbally assassinate a person. And I usually do it when I don't even know that I'm doing it. I could be ranting or I could just be talking to myself. But again, I have to be mindful that the words that I was speaking were actually about the person that I procreated with, that DNA is running rampant through the beings that I'm left to take care of. So if I say something about him, I'm saying something about them. So what I found helpful, I did journal a lot, talked about journaling on the last podcast, but in actuality, I reversed it, I turned it. And when I was around my children, I would say things and change the way that I was saying them so as not to necessarily disrespect or tear down their dad. I would say other things, like if he wasn't showing up the way that I thought he should show up, we would go into prayer. We have prayer circles, and I would say, it's unlike him to be this way. So we should be concerned. Let's pray for dad. And I would always encourage my girls to, no matter what the situation, always look up to their dad. That's the only dad that they have. And just to love on their dad. And I would basically put them in that role because I knew that that was the role that I was stepping down from. And at the end of the day, they deserve to have their father, and they deserve to have their father in the best light and mindset that they can have him be in. So me tearing him apart in his absence where they can hear, that wasn't going to be helpful. That was only going to make my situation worse than it already was. So I am one of those people, I say I walk it like I talk it. And that was, I would say, one of the hardest things for me to do, is to not only not say anything negative about him, but to actually say things nice about him. Which brings me to my third point, is to treat each other with respect. And you know what? That's actually hard to say in today's time when disrespect just runs so rampant, when everybody thinks that dogging out, another person makes them more, I don't know, credible, or makes them, it's just not necessary. So when you're disrespecting, going back to what I just said, when you're disrespecting the other person, you're disrespecting your children. So that's just that's probably going to be the tone of this whole thing, is that whatever is done or said to the other parent, think of your children and doing and saying those things to them. And I would like to think that most people wouldn't disrespect their children, or wouldn't dog out or just disrespect and cuss out their kids, even though it's done, ideally, we want to stay away from that. So try to treat each other with respect. And whatever that looks like, if you need help in that area, that's for later in the podcast. But actually, in essence, the conversations about the other parent really should be minimal, few and far between, because that brings me to my fourth point, which is to keep kids out of the business. Have you ever been sitting around and heard, because I've heard it, it just hurts my feelings, and heard somebody talking about the other parent, your mama trip, your mom, da 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 da, whatever, and vice versa, your daddy ain't. Well, again, you're saying it about the kid, so it's like keep them out the business. They don't need to know what's going on. They don't need to know the details. They don't need to know anything that's going on, because you are in essence traumatizing the kids. The kids got enough trauma just with the whole, breakup of their parents. You don't want to further add fuel to the fire by giving them all the details that really should be way above their head. They shouldn't even be able to comprehend or have any knowledge of it, but keep the kids out of the business. And especially when the parents have moved on and there's other people in as far as moving on into other relationships, that's just messy. It's messy, it's confusing, and undoubtedly the kids will need further therapy when they are out of your reach and out of your grasp. The fifth thing is to continue to be present. Continue to be present. Unfortunately, this is an area that did not go well for me in my divorce. And I heard something, and leave in the comments or share if you are a father. But I heard that the reason why so many men fall off of the scene pretty much altogether, as far as physical presence, when it comes to divorces and breakups, is because men have an issue or a struggle with separating the kids from the mother. And what does that mean? Because men compartmentalize their thoughts, and women, we connect everything in the compartment of the kids. Apparently, the mother and the kids are in the same box. So when that door closes, for some men, because I've seen a lot of men successfully continue to be present, but this is just what I heard. Don't shoot the messenger, because it definitely wasn't me that said it, and I definitely don't ascribe to it because I feel like I was a victim to it. But it's difficult to separate the two, or it's too painful. And being financial is a good, I don't know, pacifier of filling that void. Meaning, if I'm financial, the kids are fine, they don't need me. And that's just not true. It's just not true. It's important to continue to be present, because if you were married and cohabitating with the other parent, that was a daily interaction for the kids, and you want to interrupt their pattern or their routine to minimize the level of their trauma, because they're going to be hurt. There's no way to not have a hurt feeling behind parents splitting up. But if you can minimize that by keeping up their routine, by being present and just allowing them to make sure that they see your face and feel your presence long after the relationship has dissolved, that is going to be beneficial for the kids. The sixth thing, and it's very important, this one right here, they're all important, but this one right here, make the kids the focal point of decision making. I'm gonna say it again. Make the kids the focal point of decision making. There have been recent situations that I have been privy to where there's a dispute going on between two parents, and when they're having the dispute and the child is always in the middle, and the child is in the middle, a lot of the back and forth is about the ego of the parent, or accommodating and appeasing maybe a current significant other at the cost of the child. And that is completely, absolutely unacceptable. The well-being of the child has to be the focal point. Let me give an example. Who's coming to the after school performance? In an ideal world, everybody. Who is everybody? Mom, dad, first and foremost, and whoever else want to come support the child if the child benefits from the presence. It does not matter if X person don't like Y person, and what, it does not matter. That is, first of all, it's messy, and it is a disaster for the child that is a witness to all of it. Make children the focal point, and whatever is for their well-being and whatever is best for the child. And what's best for the child, meaning what keeps them whole, what keeps them happy, and what keeps them balanced and able to thrive. That is the goal. The kids, not the happiness of the parents. You had your fun making the kids, and you can continue to create whatever situations you want to happen outside of the kids, but leave the kids out of the mess and keep it like that. Make them the focal point. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. And number 7, and it's the one right here. This the one. Allow, it's gonna sound funny, allow other people to be in your business. Yep, I said it. Allow other people to be in your business. What people, Carmen? I'm gonna tell you what people. A therapist and a mediator. Those people need to be in your business if the previous 6 things are an issue or a concern. Allow someone who is unbiased, that preferably has a license to practice something in this area, a family therapist, a mediator, someone who doesn't have any, stake in the game, and don't care either way. And they are the advocate for the child. Child advocates are winners all day long. Allow other people to be in your business, because at the end of the day, they're going to also help you as the parent, because we have blind spots. And when we're emotional, we don't necessarily make the best decisions. When we're emotional and we're tied up into the thing, it's hard not to make decisions that are knee-jerk reactions that are connected to our emotions. And we talked about that before. When your heart is broken, your head doesn't work. So that is when it's okay. That is when it's actually suggested to allow other people in your business. So when you are going through something like this, just, it's for the kids. Do it for the kids. Do it for the kids. Allow other people to be in your business. And then I came across, in my research, I came across names. They got names now for when this goes left and what it's called. I came across something called MPS, malicious parent syndrome. Malicious parent syndrome is when there is a split up between the parents and the children are used to manipulate the other parent. When the kids are put in the middle and nah, he can't come over, she can't come over, and and you're trying to orchestrate and dictate what is happening over at the other parent's house, that's none of your business, because it's their other half. They're going to spend time, when they go with the other parent, they're going to spend time with themselves. and we're not in a relationship with that person anymore. And when we try to remove our kids or, not allow the kids to be seen by the other person, we are doing something called malicious parent syndrome. Get some help if that's what you do. And know the other parent, because I guess women can be on child support too. They don't have to be necessarily financial or meet your expectation or standard to see their kids. They just have a right to see their kids. Now, that's something that when I was new as a parent, I struggle with that because I'm sitting here like, he don't this and he don't that. And I thought that I was doing a service to my child by not allowing who I considered not to be a good parent to be around my child, not knowing that that actually was doing more damage. I'm telling you what I know because my kids is grown. So I ain't saying you got to listen to me. I'm just saying what my experiences are and what the people say on Google. No, seriously, it's real research. And then there's another one that I came across, and that is narcissistic parental alienation. And that's when you do some of the things that we just talked about, which is speak nasty of the other parent in the presence of the child and try to rally that whole, we don't like him or her. Don't do that. That's just forming a low self-esteem in the kid. So we want to stay away from malicious parent syndrome and narcissistic parental alienation because the goal is for the kids to thrive. And I'm going to run down those 7 things again. Be transparent about the divorce or split up between the parents. Keep the kids out of your business. Speak well of the other parent. Treat each other with respect. Continue to be present. Make your kids the focal point of all your decisions. And finally, get some people in your business. I am an advocate for help and healing in the form of therapy. And that's really all I have. So I hope that share this with somebody that may be dealing with some of these things. I want to invite you all into my community. Join my community on Blessed Trinity, spelled with the 3, on Instagram. Message me and receive a free copy of my book, Till My Death Did We Part, The Life, Death, and Resurrection of a Family. And if you want to hear more tips and advice and get some coaching, I would be happy to connect with you. And until next week, I will see you all and have a wonderful, prosperous week. Be blessed.